Hey, Vinny.
Yeah, Cardiff?
Do you want to go subreddit surfing? I wanna go subreddit surfing. Grab your phone, let's go subreddit surfing. Cause I wanna go subreddit surfing with you. We talk to folks from different subreddits because sometimes we just don't get it. We explore all kinds of subreddits. Subscribe now or you will regret it. Do you want to go subreddit surfing? I wanna go subreddit surfing. Grab your phone, let's go subreddit surfing. Cause I wanna go subreddit surfing with you. Vinny and Cardiff go subreddit surfing. Mondays at 8 we are subreddit surfing. 10 is too late for subreddit surfing. So be here now for subreddit surfing today.
Why not the potato show where I come on with a potato and I talk to it? Just a friggin' potato.
Brilliant idea. Thanks, Howard. Welcome to another edition of Subreddit Surfing. I'm your host. My name is Vinnie Paulino. And joining me, as always, it's my best spud, Cardiff.
Oh, hi, Vinny. How you doing?
I'm great, my friend. This is another episode on our new night on Wednesday. I want to welcome everybody to the live stream and thank everyone listening at home later via whatever podcast app you use.
They're all on fire. They're all there. The Subreddit Surfing is on all those, and they are all emailing me constantly, wanting to sign exclusive deals with us, Vinny.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to get a package deal going with us from Tommy and MSCS Media, and we said no.
There's a rumor of Rogan's pulling out of his Spotify deal, and we're going to slip right in.
It's going to be great.
Yes, it will be.
Good. So I want to say hello and aloha to all of our big kahunas
Mm-hmm.
who are joining us tonight. Wiggles, Zero, Tiberius, Hunter, Duke, Steve, Slunk, Fred Rush, MD, Christina Marie, Arcona, Brigamania, CMOS 4044, Corndiff, and Kinky Loco. You're all fantastic. We thank you so much for supporting the channel.
Thank
Now,
you, big kahunas.
Cardiff, I know how we like to start these shows off.
What's
with
that?
a roll call.
Brought to you by
Trucker Andy.
Trucker Andy's roll call. Corndiff is here. Principled Uncertainty is here. Stoneman 623. Chad Get Help. Hello. John Son Satan. How are you? I said your name right this time. Satran. John Son Satran. Eric Mac Bastard is here. Obnoxious John, the great Obnoxious John is here. Zachariah Radzowitz is here, live from Poland. King of all diffs is here. Zero, a big kahuna is here. John's Whippet Can is here. Dominic, here. Mikey Alienhead Chitted, here. Captain Kickass, present. Noob Tubes is here. Squirrel Watcher. It's the who's who of chatters, Vinny.
Quite an amazing assortment
Nick
of
Roach.
viewers tonight.
Flutter Dashy 64, Dutch Haynes, and Corrosive Dew in the same chat room. Did you ever think that we would have even huge erection is here, Vinny?
This must be Wednesday. This is incredible.
Aldo Baravero, all the way from Italy, is here. Dylan from somewhere is here. Old King Cole is here. Dr. Spaghetti Tooth John here.
I miss Spaghetti Tooth John. How have you been, Doctor? Nice to see you tonight.
TK44, Cut the Grass, Dime Card. It's the who's who. Like I said, Vinny, it's the who's who of YouTube chat rooms. There's nothing else I can say.
All right. Well, there's lots of things that you could be watching.
Except these 17 things that I want to say right now about... Oh, never mind. We'll do that next week. Go ahead, Vinny.
I was just going to say thanks again.
I promise not to interrupt you anymore, Vinny, because I know you talked to me about it before the show. You said how much it bothers you. You said how it makes your nipples hard like diamonds. So I will not do it.
You're really starting to piss me off, Electric.
Anymore.
No, you're great, buddy. Listen, folks, this week we are going to be surfing a subreddit that Cardiff picked.
I just learned how to properly pronounce this chatter's name. John Sons Atran.
That's it.
But thank you for the $2. Adam has two hands. Get off this train, Vin. You got a hack here.
He's got a hack here. This is Hack and Hack. It's the name of the show.
Hacka.
That's it. Now, Cardiff, do you want to tell everybody the name of the subreddit page you picked tonight for us to surf?
Yes, Vinny. I picked anti-natalism.
That's right, folks. Now, about this community supports anti-natalism, the philosophical belief that having children is morally wrong and cannot be justified. Now, this is a very interesting page. They have about 187,000 members. There's about 700 people online right now surfing the subreddit. And we have a guest tonight joining us live all the way from the UK. He has a YouTube channel that you can find. His name is Lawrence Anton. Hi, Lawrence. How are you tonight?
Welcome to the show.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Doing very, very well. Now, having children is morally wrong.
I guess we should ask what your stance is, because I did see going through this subreddit, a lot of people have a lot of different stances, a lot of different opinions here. Not widely differing, but people are anti-natalists for different reasons, it seems. So what, I guess, is your reasons?
Yeah, well, the first thing I want to say is that intro was amazing. Your little jingle. I really enjoyed that, watching that from backstage. Whoever put that together is a bit of a legend.
Joint effort.
And I never thought I'd be having a conversation with a potato, so let alone two potatoes.
Oh, well, here we
you're
are.
You're gonna fit right in, Lawrence. Thank you. What are you doing next Wednesday?
So anyway, so get into your question. So yeah, there's different like reasons that get people to the position where they would be on that subreddit. So I guess like one of the sort of popular ones at the moment that you may have heard of is the sort of line about environmentalism. I think a lot of people are concerned about what's going on with the environment at the moment,
Mm-hmm.
and it's maybe making them concerned about the prospect of bringing someone into the world, right? Because they maybe see the planet as not going in a direction that they think is good, and so they don't want to put someone into that. But antinatalism itself is a bit different from that, because and this is where I come from, is I hear someone say that, and I kind of agree with them, right? So if someone feels like there's a looming or present environmental crisis, they think, I don't want to put my child into that because it's gonna cause my child to suffer in some way. But the
Certainly.
thing I would say to that person is, I agree with you, but why are you just focusing on that environmental crisis? There's many ways, there's a plethora of ways that when you create someone, they are guaranteed to suffer. But also there are many other ways that there's a chance they could suffer in quite an extreme way. Childhood cancer is an example of that. And at the end of the day, we're all guaranteed to die as well, which is not necessarily a nice thing for anyone, really. And so that put together, I guess you could say, is the sort of loose reason why most antinatalists get to the position where they think it's wrong to put someone in that situation.
Okay, so if we break this down, we're saying that it is either A, the environment and protecting the planet and its future, or B, there's a lot of really shitty ways to suffer in life, and putting that on another human being is probably not a good decision to make.
Exactly. The second one is the core of it. The environmental one I was kind of using as a sort of modern example, which has come around.
Well, I feel like that's the Thanos argument, right? Overpopulation is going to eventually hurt everyone.
Yeah, so there's a group within antinatalism called the Voluntary Human Extinction Movement. Have you guys ever heard of that?
I think we did come across one of those videos. Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
Okay.
so they're basically like the environmental wing of antinatalism. So if you talk to antinatalists, I think most of them that you would speak to actually probably wouldn't mention the environment. It's just that the environmental part of antinatalism has, I think, gotten more media exposure than the rest of it. So it's the part that most people have heard about.
But so Lawrence, I gotta ask, maybe this is an obvious question, but are you in general, would antinatalists are antinatalists against everyone reproducing, or just a certain portion of the world? Like, is it population control, or is it population? We need to wipe our species out in a generation.
No, it's everyone, because the fundamental thing that antinatalists have an issue with is one person imposing suffering on someone else when that other person, as we see it, doesn't really stand to benefit from the situation. And obviously, whether you're rich, poor, whatever country you're in, no one's going to escape suffering. And so it's pretty universal, yeah.
Well, I like to think of suffering as the price of admission, man. You know, we get to live, we get to have consciousness, we
Mm.
get to experience the world
It's not
in
all
ways
bad.
that no other organisms get to experience the world. And suffering kind of goes hand in hand with that. You know, not to be, repeat myself, but it's the price of admission. It's just what you get, the cost of being alive.
Yeah. No, I get what you mean. But I think when we think about something coming at a cost, like, I would assume both of you would agree, like, generally in life, if some decision is going to come at a cost, then we as autonomous people should be able to make that decision ourselves, right? Like, we should be able to weigh up the pros and cons of a decision, and then say, okay, I've weighed up the pros and cons, and so I conclude that, this is going to be better for me, or that's going to be better for me. But if
Okay.
you think about it, with starting a life, no one can make that decision for themselves. It's always a decision made by two people for one other person, and no one gets to sign off on being created. And if you think about it, what is it? What is the cost of admission? I mean, the cost of admission is, like in the UK, a 1 in 3 chance of getting cancer. Like, just that one, like, statistic. Like, I don't think any of us here would think it's a good thing to give the risk of cancer to someone that hasn't asked for it in any other situation, really. But when it comes to creating someone else, having a kid, it's almost just, yeah, like you said, seen as the cost of admission. But it's a pretty serious cost that we're imposing on someone without being able to ask them.
Well, I will say this. You brought up the point earlier that we're all born to die.
Yeah,
So if that's the case, whichever way you go is just the cost of admission, whether it's cancer or you got hit by a bus.
yeah. Yeah, no, I agree, but I see death as a harm in itself. If you think about it,
Okay.
once someone is alive, we get pretty, you could almost say, addicted to this thing called life, right? Like, even so, I'm sure we've all heard of situations where we've heard about someone who is probably better off, like, just cutting their losses. Maybe they've got some sort of, maybe they've been in some sort of accident, they're in a horrific situation, and it's just like that person is probably better off just pulling the cord. And
Okay.
yet, so many people persist in situations like that for reasons that to me seem relatively futile. And so that suggests to me that we are kind of addicted to this thing called life. We get sort of hyper attached to it. And I think to put someone in a situation where they become hyper attached to someone, where that it's guaranteed to be ripped away from them, like, no one wants to die. Everyone always tries to push it away, away, away. But with creating someone, you're fundamentally putting them in a position where they have this craving, this attachment, this addiction to something, but it's always going to be taken away from them. No one can escape death. And it seems like a pretty twisted situation to put someone into, from my perspective.
Okay. Well, I guess is legalizing suicide the answer? Kind of like the happy middle compromise? I mean,
I
not
don't
like anybody's going to stop you anyway, but I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. I don't think that is the answer, because I think putting someone in a situation where the only way out is killing themselves is a pretty shit situation to put someone in.
okay.
Also,
Okay.
are we allowed to swear? Sorry.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool, cool, cool.
Fuck yeah!
Again, I never thought I'd see a potato swear.
Well, tune in every Wednesday at 8.
Yes.
But yeah, I think it's a pretty. I think it's easy to say things when it comes to the topic of antinatalism, which in other situations we wouldn't think is a decent thing to say. Like if you said in any other situation to someone, I'm going to put you in this position, and if you don't like it, well, you can just kill yourself. Like that string of words seems like a pretty harsh thing to say to someone. But it's almost given a free pass when you talk about procreation. Do you get what I mean?
I do understand where you're coming from on that. I don't necessarily know where I stand on this, because I definitely see the merits of your argument.
Yeah.
I definitely do. But maybe it's the fact that I am addicted to life.
Yeah.
That makes me kind of like look at it more as a gift instead of like the curse of death.
Yeah, most of it's pretty good. Again, for me at least, I'd rather more days are good than bad. So I think that as a
that's not everybody's scenario. That is
Mm-hmm.
not everyone's experience on the planet. So we can't take that for granted. No one should take, having it good or, the good. You shouldn't take life for granted. I'm not going out on a limb when I say that. But to me, the idea of it being wrong to have a kid and that it's morally incorrect to procreate, I don't know if I can get behind that. I get behind people, choosing not to have kids, but isn't it against nature to just not want to reproduce?
Yeah, so I think just quickly to comment on something you guys said before about life not all being bad, and there are a lot of good days. I massively agree with you. Like I have probably one of the best lives that has ever existed, right? If you compare my life to the lives of any human that's existed, going all the way back in history, I have a very decent life. I live in London, which is one of the biggest cities in the world. I have access to so many resources and activities and all of this sort of stuff. So
how many kids do you have?
Sorry?
How many kids do you have?
0.
Oh, I had to ask. Sorry.
Now,
Yeah.
Cardiff, let's put this on the table just so we're clear. I have 0 children.
Yes.
Lawrence says he has no children. Do you have any tater tots?
I do have tater tots. I have 2 tater tots.
Okay.
So I've covered for you guys. You're welcome. Or no, I guess I haven't. I gotta get one. I gotta pop one. Lawrence, would you be upset if, in your honor, I went and impregnated my wife right now?
I think
name that baby Lawrence, boy or girl.
Yes.
I think it would be the worst gift I've ever received, and I think it would be that kid's worst gift they'd ever receive. But I'm not going to hate on you.
Oh, okay. You people can name a star for somebody. Can we start naming kids for antinatalists?
If anyone they know is expecting, please talk to them about naming their child Lawrence. That's an epically funny troll. Sorry, but
it'll show up in the list of the most popular baby names of 2023.
Yeah.
There's a big spike in Lawrence.
Oh, we'll laugh so hard.
I can appreciate the troll. But
we just call it jokes here.
So I totally get you on that front. I don't think like once someone is alive, like all of us 3 are obviously, like you can have an amazing time. And I encourage people to, like, I don't think antinatalism should be all doom and gloom. I think like once we're here, we're here. So we should have the best time that we possibly can. Just for me, bringing someone else here, or in other words, forcing them here, just to me seems like a failed endeavor. There was no one in existence to want to come into existence. They didn't want a life. They didn't care. They didn't care either way. It wasn't like there's, Ricky Gervais has this bit. I'm assuming Ricky Gervais, right?
Yes. Yeah.
He has this bit in one of his shows where he says, you know, there's not this cabinet of ghost fetuses saying we want to be born, we want to be born. It's like, it's not like there's ghost fetuses queuing up to get into existence. We just simply create someone because we want to. Basically, that's the reason. We're not doing it for their sake. It's because we want to create them. And so,
sure, but again, I think that's nature, though, right? That's like the calling of humanity. That's what like every species on planet Earth's like part of their built into their DNA mission.
The reason why that's the reason why we enjoy sex, I think, is that we're programmed to, right? Like,
I just like to make dumb faces. That's me, though.
Oh, can we see your O face, Vinny?
It looks a lot like this.
Not your pizza face.
I do a thumbs up while I'm going at it.
High five.
No, I get what you mean. It is going against nature, but I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I think, and I agree, that is the reason that we enjoy sex, right? It's because evolution has built it into us. It wants us to have sex so that we reproduce. That's, you know, that's the whole point that we are here, is to pass our genes on. But I think it just uncritically obeying what evolution wants us to do, I don't think is the wisest course of action. I think, given that we've gotten to the point as a species where we actually have rational faculties, I think we should sort of step back and use them and think, well, we've been doing this for billions of years. Like, is this the correct thing to be doing?
I can't argue that the results have been all great. I can't make that argument.
At least this show has come out of it.
Yes.
Thank you for that. You are correct.
and now hold on, I have to go back.
Welcome, humanity.
Lawrence, you made a comment earlier about passing on our genes.
Yeah.
I just want you to know that recently Vinny passed on his genes, and now a Cambodian family has a home. Thank you for the $2, Dela. Shout out to OJ and Corndiff.
Now let's catch up on what's going on in the chat. I got to shout out to Benjamin Cohen. What type of walrus does Cardiff get for Canadian Thanksgiving? Yeah, how do you celebrate Canadian Thanksgiving in Minnesota?
We just call that Monday.
Okay.
I think he's making a Tusk reference. I think that's a Kevin Smith movie.
I'll let Brian Johnson know.
Sure. Yeah.
Nurse Jenny says, Vinny, I love your fucking shirt. It's called a blouse, Jenny. Yes. Thanks. Okay. Now, let's go back to Lawrence for a second.
So before we started doing the chats, though, let's remember I made a joke where you donated your pants to a Cambodian family and they're now using it as a house. Okay, go.
Okay. Ha ha, great one, Cardiff.
Thank you.
Let's talk to Lawrence a little bit more about the idea of anti-natalism. Now, let's just take a look at this for a second.
Yeah.
Do you believe that there should be policies, like government policies on this? Or should it just be society makes the decision to stop reproducing? I mean, I can't imagine everybody on planet Earth is going to get behind this.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think yes and no. So personally, I don't know where you guys come from politically, but I am not a fan of sort of government sort of authoritarianism, totalitarianism. I think it's very easy for the government to get too involved in people's lives. And I think reproduction is a prime example of where the government can overreach very easily. So I'm not generally in favor of the government getting involved in people's bodily autonomy, because I think it has a dark history. And I think especially if you combined antinatalism with the wrong type of government, then it could go very badly. One thing that I do think I'm in favor of, I may have to do a bit more thinking about it to be super concrete, but one thing I do think I would be in favor of is the government making mandatory some form of course that someone has to go on if they are going to have a child. And when I say that, I mean a course like learning basic communication skills, learning basic financial management, learning basic conflict resolution, learning basic nutrition, learning basic human biology, and understanding how the child is going to grow up. Because I think a lot of people, they just kind of have a kid and see how it goes. And I don't think that is the best situation to put a child into, where you basically just Like, see how it goes, wing it, basically. If you fuck up, try and like plaster over the cracks. I think there should be some sort of government intervention to make people a lot more prepared and responsible for
Okay,
raising another human being.
It's the old trope, you need a license to drive, but any idiot can have a kid.
and I'll tell
Yeah,
you,
exactly. I don't know if we should be giving out licenses for this sort of thing, because again, I think that would be a bit too authoritarian. But I think some sort of course that people go on, and if you don't do it, maybe you get some sort of fine or something like that. So it's not like it's not a massive infringement on people's lives, but it will probably cause most people to do the course. I think would be generally a good thing.
I don't think anybody is going to want to do this course, and it bothers me.
Well, I think that's a
that-
bad thing. Yeah, bad sign.
Oh, well, that's what I was going to get to. What bothers me is that this stuff isn't stuff that's taught already. You know what I mean? Like, you would think that this is stuff that should be common sense to people, things that they
Yeah,
should
exactly,
already
yeah.
learn by the time they're ready to have a child. The fact that we're having a conversation about refresher courses and life skills
Yeah,
is a little terrifying, right?
yeah. It is kind of a depressing situation, and it's really interesting because that it sounds counterintuitive to people, but there are actually anti-natalist parents out there, and that's because people find out about anti-natalism at all different stages of life. So I
I
know a
also
guy
assume
who.
that I also assume that most parents regret it.
Oh,
Just, that's just
Well,
me.
I guess that's a question. You've heard of born again Christians, Lawrence? Like people that live their life,
yeah,
without
yeah,
religion, and then later in life found Christianity,
yeah,
and
yeah,
usually
yeah.
are the most extreme of the Christians. Are there
Yeah.
born again antinatalists? Someone who had 2, 3 kids and realized, oh fuck,
Just kids are real dicks.
I screwed
They're
up.
just like, what have I done to
But-
And then
society?
is
I
that
think the term "born again antinatalist" is kind of ironic just in itself. But
let me start that subreddit right now. Holding.
no, so I think actually there is a subreddit for like parental regret or something. I've not been on it because
That sounds like a
yeah.
fun one.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say there's probably a lot of venting in that one. But no, the anti-natalist parents that I've spoken to did not become anti-natalists because they regretted having their children in their lives. It's just because they came across it and the philosophy made sense to them, but they happen to have already had kids. And it's really interesting to talk to these people because becoming antinatalist changes the way that they see parenting and see the responsibilities they have towards their child. A lot of people, especially in the UK, I don't know what parenting culture is like in the US or Canada, but in the UK, there's very much a mindset of the child, we raise them until they're a certain age, and then they have to, they have their own responsibilities and they go out and they carve out their own life. And when you speak to a lot of antinatalist parents, whilst they understand that obviously people need to learn to have responsibility themselves, when you create someone, you take on a lifelong commitment to helping that person. If you put
For
someone in
18 years.
but this
There's
is the thing,
the
like
cap.
18 years is such an arbitrary number. I think if you create someone, you should be willing to look after them for their whole life. Now, I think it's probably best for the kid that once they get to the age, they should probably go out and live life on their own, because it's probably just going to be better for them. No one wants to have their parents around the whole time. But I think in terms of what your moral responsibilities are, I think if you create someone, yeah, too right, are you committed to helping them if they need it for their entire life?
Oh, I don't know. I think intent, intent should play a role in this. So if you intended to have the kid, sure, lifetime sentence. But if it was an accident,
Yeah, but
fuck,
but accidents can be
18
prevented,
years.
right?
I mean,
Well, but I mean, with all due respect, you shouldn't be fucking. If you're messing with the ball, you're going to get the horns, aren't you? Like, if you're taking the risk, you have to take on the responsibility.
I guess. So earlier today, Vinny, I told you I was on WATP, and Carl brought up this subreddit that we were going to be talking about because, as we also discussed, Carl has very loose lips, so he gave up the subreddit earlier today.
Why do I tell him anything?
I don't know, but he
What's
thought,
WATP?
who are these podcasts? It's a much smaller show than this that we're associated with.
Yeah, the guy who hosts it's kind of a friend of ours, but he's kind of a dork. He plays in some kind of Star Wars band and he loves Weezer.
Yes, he plays Super Mario theme song over and over again.
Yeah, he's real dork.
No, it's a big show. Who are these podcasts? Basically, they go and make fun of, well, shows like ours.
Yeah.
I'm sure will be a topic of soon. But he had kind of theorized that maybe anti-natalists could come up with some type of device, like some kind of permanent condom that they can wear.
You mean like a vasectomy?
Well, that's what we got to eventually in the conversation.
I think that already exists. Yeah.
I'm like, something a little less complicated might be available already.
There is actually a technology in the pipeline where it's like an easily reversible vasectomy. So do you guys know how vasectomies work?
I know that there is a connection that's snipped somewhere.
Yeah, so there's basically like a tube between your balls and your dick, and that's basically cut so that the sperm, like the fertile bit, can't come out basically when you ejaculate.
Where does it go?
So it doesn't. It just hangs around in your balls.
It dribbles out your ears. It's really
exactly, yeah.
why
Just
people
over
don't
years
like
and years and years, it builds up until it gets to your ears, and then it dribbles out.
Is that what's in? Is that what's in Carl's clubfoot? Is it just filling up with sperm?
Oh, 1 second. Aldo, it's Ween, not Weezer. Somewhere Carl is crying. I don't think that's right. I'm pretty sure
It is. We know Ween is his big. He likes Weezer too, but Ween is his jam, as he always says. Every time he calls me on the phone, he goes, "Hey, Cardiff, I always say Ween is my jam," and I say, "Yes, Carl."
I don't think that's right.
No, it is Ween.
I don't think that's right. Pretty sure
big
it's
Ween guy. Gene
Ween.
Gene Ween is his favorite.
I don't think that's right.
Oh, I think it is.
He's a big Rufus Cuomo kind of guy.
I think we're getting sidetracked.
Just fucking with Carl. All right. So what we've established so far, folks who are joining this conversation, is that there's a belief that children being put on planet Earth puts them at risk for a myriad of disaster and 100% chance of dying. So the question is it morally wrong to have a child if that is the case? So I'm asking you guys in the chat, do you think if a child is put at risk by being born, then it is therefore your fault and it is morally wrong to have that child? So I want to see your opinions on this in the chat. Let's hit up some super chats.
Flutter Dashy for $2. Thank you. Thanksgiving is always on a Thursday. Yes, in the good old US of A.
And we're proud to be Americans.
Yes. When's your Thanksgiving, Lawrence?
We don't have one in the UK. Thanksgiving is an American thing.
Suckers. Benjamin Cohen, thank you for the $1.99. I wasn't making a Tusk reference. Jerk. Vinny, Benjamin Cohen believes that you're a jerk. Thank you.
All right. Hey, Cardiff, can you say the Pledge of Allegiance for everyone so we remember?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. One heart.
Nope, that's not it.
Well, that's the way I remember it. That's the way we say it in Minnesota.
Okay. Now, folks, the question is this: is it wrong to have a kid? Is it morally wrong? Aldo says depends on the situation. If you have a child and you and presumably your spouse are barely getting by, yes, that is irresponsible. Now, there are situations where kids are born into really terrible circumstances just because people are irresponsible. I completely understand that is a reason why some people should not have children. But we're talking about past that. We're talking about in general, like just the idea that a child is at risk.
Yeah, I think maybe my conundrum with this movement, we'll call it a movement, is it's not like there's a better option, right? It's not like, well, again, as I said kind of earlier, maybe you shouldn't have kids if you can't support them, or you shouldn't have kids if you don't want there's a lot of ands or ifs. With antinatalism, it's just when it's across the board, like nobody should have. It's like there's no they've given up. Like it just feels defeatist, right? Like we can't do any better. We can't change anything. You're just gonna be dead anyway.
It's
So
one of
what's
those
the point?
situations where I feel kind of bad because it is kind of a hopeless perspective on life. It's like
Yes.
none of it matters to begin with, because the reality is once you take out procreation, you're just at that point living to die. Arcona says, I can't reconcile this. By the way, aloha, Big Kahuna, Arcona. I can't reconcile this. He makes great points, but I have 2 kids and both are far smarter than I am, way better people too, and I'm glad we have them. Well, I'm glad you put 2 good ones into the world.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's got to, for Christ's sake.
Yes, and remember what we've all learned from tonight's episode. As soon as you're done watching, or while you're watching, go and have unprotected sex right now. And 9 months from now, name that baby Lawrence. Like, boy or girl, doesn't matter. All Lawrences.
Yeah. Agreed. Going raw and risk giving life is the way.
It does feel so much better.
This is the way.
This is the
you
way.
can always get a vasectomy and then you can go raw and there's no issues.
See, there you go. I like that, Lawrence. You've got solutions here. That's how we negotiate. Okay, we're getting somewhere now.
All right. Deepak Feinberg says, remember South Park and Chris Reeves? You got to have kids so that they can vampire them. Good point.
Is there a portion of anti-natalists that are just, population control? Like let's reduce the amount of people. Like the world's made for 1 billion and we've got however many billion right now. Like are there more I don't want to say conservative anti-natalists where they just want to kind of pull back a little bit, not kind of completely?
I think that there are, I don't know if you would call those people anti-natalists, but there are definitely a lot of people who hold that opinion. There is a large chunk of people out there that know about anti-natalism and are kind of sympathetic about it, but I think they still want humans to be around, and I think it's for generally sentimental reasons, which I understand. Like I'm also like a sentimental person in some ways. Like I don't particularly I'm attached to people who are around me now. It's not like I just want them to vanish or anything, but that's also not what antinatalism is about. I think when people think about antinatalism, they think about people vanishing, but it's not about that. It's about simply people not coming into existence in the first place. And I think that's often how people get it confused when they think about, if someone asked me, well, okay, but what if you were never born, right? Well, to me, if I was never born, so what, right? Like, I wouldn't know about it. So, like, I have one sister, right? So there's two of us, 2 siblings. The third sibling that could have existed doesn't care that they don't exist, because they don't exist to care, if you get what I mean. So if I never existed, I wouldn't care.
Of course. But the question is this.
Yeah.
Is it wrong to deny, I guess, again, nature? Because your parents, nature happened.
No, I think often in many ways it's good to deny nature. Like if me and you went on a safari, which I sincerely hope one day we do, and a lion, sees you and thinks, right, I'm going to have that potato for lunch.
Sure.
Should I stop that lion? Because I'm intervening with nature.
Stop the lion.
Yeah, I should stop the lion, but I'm stopping nature as well.
Yeah, but it's for your pal Cardiff.
Yeah, I know, exactly. So I should, yeah. I think often we should stop nature.
I refuse to go on safari with anyone.
Probably a good.
For the same reason I don't go camping. I will be the slowest one and the first one eaten. That's just not going to happen. So I guess the question becomes, if the idea is just non-existing, we're not giving the person a choice to exist because that person never existed to begin with, right?
Well, there's no one to give a choice to. The decision of whether to create them or not is ours, yeah.
Is there a I totally forgot where I was going with that question.
Don't worry, I don't think potatoes have much of a brain, so
I
That's
say we
true.
let
it's
the lion
understandable.
eat them. Old empty-headed potato. Let the
Farts.
yeah.
That's what got me. That's
Okay.
that's where I lost my entire train of thought.
Christina Marie says AJ was conceived using contraception.
Ooh.
Okay. Well, I mean,
Not
seems
100%, folks. Not 100%.
yeah,
Thank goodness.
seems like it isn't perfect.
No.
You know what is though? Butt sex. Thanks, Mikey. Shit it. I don't know what to respond to this chat tonight.
I'm sure someone is dumb enough to have fucked up butt sex to the point where they've gotten someone pregnant.
I do believe on an episode of Weird Medicine, Dr. Steve did discuss a case where that could indeed happen.
All right.
Somebody
Nurse
literally
Jenny,
had some wires crossed.
Nurse Jenny, I love this idea. I'd rather adopt an elderly if I'm going to change diapers. I would say way bigger mess, though. It's going to be a way bigger, smellier mess. And a old person isn't cute when they make it.
No.
But it is a nice thought, helping the elderly.
I guess.
I can get behind that.
I guess. But yeah, it just seems to me that you know, a lot of the posts I was going through on the subreddit were there was a lot of backlash from the Roe versus Wade getting overturned. So I guess did a political event like that help fuel maybe this movement as well, where people kind of the rubber band, right? You pull too far one way and you go all the way the other. Like, are there people that are on the other side that are as outraged at anti-natalists, right? Like as you know, the right is to abortion, right? Like I'm babbling right now, but
like Roe v. Wade didn't make massive waves in the anti-natalist world, just because the anti-natalist world is global. Like there are people from every country around the world that are part of this community, this movement, whatever you want to call it. And obviously Roe v. Wade only impacts the US. So there was some discussion around it, but it was mostly just within the American circles of anti-natalism. It wasn't really a massive conversation that people had. But going on to like what you were saying about like any like backlash, there hasn't been regarding Roe v. Wade, but one thing that has gotten quite a lot of backlash recently is, have you seen the group that's been going around America called Stop Having Kids, with the billboards and the signs?
No.
Oh, you've not seen them?
No.
So basically they're this street activism organization where they go out into the streets in America and hold up signs, or they pay for billboards that have anti-natalist messages or like related messages that aren't necessarily anti-natalist, but they're similar. And they basically just hold them up to attract attention from people or get media coverage. And they've had a lot of conversations with different people just on the street. That's basically all they do, just have conversations and take pictures with people. And there's been a relatively big backlash against them, mostly from conservative commentators, because I guess they see it as sort of like an attack on the nuclear family or something.
Yes, so I've got their website up here. We want a future where creating biological children is no longer an expectation, a norm, or something most people casually do without putting substantial thought and investigation into. We want a future where those who have the desire and means to care for others than themselves decide to prioritize taking care of and supporting deprived humans and other animals who already exist. So I guess there's already kids. If you want a kid, go adopt one. Instead of
wait a second. What the fuck am I looking at? Scroll down.
Some AI art.
Okay, hold on. This is a picture of I believe an Indian woman with her
a giant Indian woman.
Yeah.
And her two tiny parents.
Yeah.
She's child-free and
wearing a t-shirt that says child-free and satisfied. But what a fucking rub it in the parents' faces. Like, I wish I was child-free. I gotta sit here and take a picture of my giant daughter on the couch. What a stupid picture.
So this guy, yeah, I have not seen these guys, but yeah, so billboards and trucks and wow.
A lot of humans wish they were never born on a billboard. That makes sense.
Why gamble? It seems like they spend a lot of time in Vegas and Atlantic City with the trucks. Yeah, there you go again.
Yeah, I
Lo-
think. Sorry, go on.
no,
You know how
no.
much money you would have for gambling if you didn't have kids? This is brought to you by Bally's.
Brought to you by MGM, the app.
Yeah.
Arcona, Aloha Big Kahuna 499 says, Lawrence, is there a greater number of right or left politically oriented anti-nationalist posters? Or maybe quality posters is a better measure.
Yes, I think you mean anti-natalist there. You said anti-nationalist.
I am a fat-tongued idiot.
Yeah, Vinny's just been being
No, it's all good. Okay, so this is just going to be my like subjective assessment. There hasn't been any like formal surveying of the anti-natalist sphere in really many ways, let alone political persuasions. But I would say in general, it has more of a left-leaning. People tend to be more left-leaning because left-leaning people tend to be more open to sort of new ideas that are outside of the mainstream, which doesn't necessarily mean they're right. It's just that they tend to be more open to them.
Sure.
So I would say generally it's more left-leaning, but I don't think I don't think it's a strong left leaning. I think there are also a lot of centrists,
Okay.
And there is also like a conservative contingent, but it's not massive. I will be honest, but I would say there's a lot of centrists as well, which I would consider myself a centrist as well.
Okay. I got bad news for you, Lawrence. Obnoxious John says, this guy has inspired me. I'm going to start having children with multiple women now. Oh, you're not listening, Obnoxious John.
Yes.
Well, I feel sorry for all those women that they have to interact with this guy.
Hey, Vinny, I just thought I wanted. Oh yeah, this guy smells like piss. You wouldn't want if you were a woman, you wouldn't want to have anything to do with him.
Yeah. Musty pants.
I had to click on the Stop Having Kids store.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if they had anything available for sale.
Holy shit, I would wear that on an airplane. I would wear that on an airplane all day long.
Is this a consequence?
With that? No, for fun.
Oh,
just
for fun?
Look at parents. Stop having kids.
Well, I was curious here if it was anything other than t-shirts, like if they had some contraception in here, some
No, I think they have bumper stickers as well.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, it's the bumper.
Oh, there they are.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Throw one of these bumper stickers over your cock hole and
wrap one of these around your dick before intercourse. Guaranteed. Now, I'm looking at this. We have a bunch of different slogans here. What do we got here? Join the vasectomy club.
Yes.
A lot of humans wish they were never born. Wow.
Child-free and not regretful.
Okay.
How many times do you think she said that at the Thanksgiving table?
When
are you gonna have kids? You can make a family without having kids. Yes, you can, Vinny.
Adoption shouldn't be a last resort. Now, I love that because here's the deal. A lot of us want to reproduce, but maybe it isn't the responsible thing to bring another life onto the planet. Maybe the responsible thing to do is help take care of one that's already here.
I think everyone can get behind that. I think that if that was the main, if that was the headline on antinatalism, I think they'd have a lot more support. How about take care of the ones that are here now?
Great question. Oh, do they have merch in kid sizes?
Oh. we do have a great chat.
Oh, God damn it.
But now
Overcrow wants to know, vasectomy gang, where you at?
Hold on. The unisex crew neck t-shirt. All right, let's see.
Sizes.
Extra small would be extra small. Okay, they're not going to be trapped here.
Yeah, that's not fun.
But they did. Their t-shirt vendor initially put kid size on here, and somebody had to step in and say, whoa. That's very, very off-brand for us.
You're blowing up our spot. Okay.
No babies on board.
Oh man,
that's a good one.
boy, this is I will say this about the anti-natalists: they know how to have a good time, and I feel like that's what in a lot of ways. Tell me if I'm wrong, Lawrence. A lot of this is, in a way, a little selfish. Like, hey, I could just kind of say to myself, I am not bringing a life into the world, therefore I'm not doing anything wrong, and I can live my life to the fullest. Yeah. And not have to worry.
I wouldn't necessarily say it's selfish to want to live your life to the fullest.
Fair enough. You're right. You're correct. But it is kind of about not wanting to have a kid so that you can have a maximum level of freedom for a lot of people, maybe.
I would say for some people, but I think that's more for people who identify as child free, which basically is just people who don't want to have kids. Whereas with antinatalists, the primary concern is the ethical one. It's that they think it's the right thing to do to not reproduce, not for themselves, but for the people that they would have created otherwise.
Certainly. Nurse Jenny, thanks for the $4.99. Adoption is excellent. Fostering is like leasing, both great options. Yeah, the thing though is when you foster kids, sometimes you get too many miles on them, and they charge you. They charge you later. My buddy Brian does a great bit about this. He says him and his wife were having trouble conceiving. They wanted to have a baby desperately. Don't fucking ask me why, Lawrence. But they wanted to have a baby.
We'll give them your number, Lawrence.
They looked into adoption. It was like $40,000, and his joke is, well, at those prices, I'm never going to be able to afford to flip that baby. Freaking $40K.
So anti-abortion people protest at abortion clinics. Where do anti-natalists protest?
Cheap hotels.
Yeah.
Yeah, or sperm donor banks. No, I don't like in-person protesting is really not something that antinatalists have done. The only group that has really done that is Stop Having Kids. And what I wouldn't call what they do protesting. It's more public demonstration, like street art sort of stuff, public engagement.
Sure. And I guess that's probably, it seems like a downer of a message, but in a way it is a positive it is a positive one.
Yeah, I think it's a positive message. Like the way that I see it is like you have the choice as to whether to like needlessly create someone for with no benefit to them, because it's not like they wanted to be created. But you are sparing someone from having to go through heartbreak, cancer, dementia, potential like massive accidents, maybe a genetic impairment, like all of these things that like you don't know whether they're going to happen to the person you create or not. And in most cases, you don't have that much control over it either.
Sure.
Yeah. And so I think it is a positive message to say, look, we don't have to do that. We can step away from that and have as good a time as possible and try and make the world a better place for other people as well. And animals, I would say. And then once it's our time and our ticket gets called, our number gets called, then it's our time to go. But at least we haven't forced anyone else here.
I can't argue with the logic behind the perspective. I feel like a lot of the human part of me disagrees, but you're not wrong. I feel like this is a very personal decision for people, right?
Yeah. I mean, inherently the decision as to whether someone is going to reproduce, is a decision that they're going to make personally. There's no one else that's going to make it for them. I think anyone who's considering it should engage with antinatalism and that perspective so that it's something that they have taken into account before they make this massive decision. But yeah, I think the reason that most people haven't done that is just because it's not very well known.
Okay. Now, how did you find the anti-natalist subreddit page? Were you
I'm not actually really on. I am on Reddit, but I don't really use it. I found antinatalism through overhearing a conversation that someone else was having.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually connected with Lawrence over Twitter, researching antinatalists.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, Lawrence, could you tell us a little bit about your YouTube channel?
Yeah. I mean, if there are any specific questions you have, go for it. But just an overview is that I
So
make
this is my
videos.
entry to the
Sorry.
No, it's all good. Whenever I hear my own voice, like I then realize like how grim it sounds listening to me. So yeah, the channel generally is I do videos like reacting to things people have said. So if you click on videos quickly, the videos tab.
Mhm.
So the most recent one, that one about Eva, I don't know how to say her second name.
Oh,
But,
Vlarenda de Bork.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yes.
I
So
love her.
so like some people will say something about antinatalism and I do a response video. I also just do topics. I do videos where I'm talking to camera about a certain subject related to antinatalism. I also did, if the two videos in the top right, I recently went to a environmental protest and interviewed people there, asking them why they think extinction is bad. I have conversations with people, kind of a range of stuff, yeah, but it's all related to antinatalism.
Well, can I ask you a question? When you go out there and you ask people, why do you think extinction is bad? You don't get a lot of reasoned responses, do you? You generally get a gut reaction to, oh no, it's terrible, right?
Yeah, either that or people are just surprised because they've never even thought of the question before and they think it's quite an interest. Most people that I asked did think it was a genuinely interesting question.
Well, at least we're thinking about it. Nurse Jenny, deep pockets tonight, Nurse Jenny. Thanks for the $9.99. Kids don't keep relationships together. It just postpones the inevitable. I've been a step parent to 2 efforts to keep marriages together. Well, I don't think it's a kid's job to keep a marriage together. So I wouldn't see how they would past, feeling the obligation to the child. If the obligation, if the people take the obligation seriously and they feel like, having 2 parents in the home is the best way to raise the kid, then maybe they take it seriously and they stay together. But again, it's not the kid's job, so I don't know why people would expect them to.
No.
Sorry.
Maybe just because kids have destroyed so many marriages, people think that maybe 1 or 2 can help.
Yeah. The vagina wrecker is really going to solve everything for everyone.
You never know, Vinny. You never. So, I mean, there is that the old pot talk. If you could go back, if you had a time machine, you could go back and kill baby Hitler. Would you? But what if? Do antinatalists sit around and saying, "What if you had the baby that cured cancer, that saved the world, that fixed us all"? Is it like bizarro baby Hitler talk?
No, I mean, we don't really have conversations about that because it's like,
By the way, Lawrence, when I ask totally ridiculous questions, you don't have to answer them legitimately. It's fine.
Yeah, just tell them to shut up.
Yes.
I don't know. I want to humor a potato.
Thank you.
No, so it actually, on that topic, it's kind of something that has become like a meme and people kind of make jokes about, because a lot of people do say, oh well, I want to have a kid because what if my kid is going to cure cancer? Which it's just become a meme in antinatalist circles because it's just this like ridiculous thing people say, like everyone thinks their kid is going to be the next messiah that brings about world peace and cures cancer. But in all honesty, and I'm not saying this to be harsh, I just think it's realistic. Like the vast majority of people, the kids they have are going to be anonymous members of society that no one ever hears of, and they're going to die, and then no one's going to hear their name again. And that's probably
you
going to be
are-
the case for me as well.
You are 1000% correct there. There's a lot of good tries out there, people. A lot of people have tried really hard to have good kids, and the fact is, there's very few exceptional people who are going to really be problem solvers and great and like legitimately great for society. So you're not wrong there. The numbers would probably bear out what you're saying to be correct.
What are the what's the anti-natalist community think about Nick Cannon? What are their thoughts on guys like him?
Dumb turban.
Who is Nick Cannon?
Oh, Nick Cannon. Okay, Nick Cannon was Mariah Carey's ex-husband, but he's famously having like his 17th kid with his 15th different mother.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm not sure if those numbers are entirely accurate, but it's pretty close to that.
I like generally it's just like an eye roll, and it's just like, you know, I can't be asked with these sort of people.
It's just there's nothing you can do. You can't stop them all.
Arcona says 7 billion kids haven't cured cancer. Play the lotto instead. All right. Solid advice. Solid advice. All right. I think this is a serious question, obviously. Mikey Shitted wants to know, what if you couldn't kill Hitler, but had to bang Hitler's mom until he is no longer born?
So we're seducing Hitler's mom. Is that the goal here?
Mrs.
Keep her
Hitler.
away from Hitler's father? What if you make a worse Hitler, Vinny?
I don't know if that's possible.
Did Hitler have kids?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I
I think we would have heard about them by now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it just occurred to me, like, if he did, then there's probably someone around today who's a descendant of Hitler, and fuck, would I want to not be that person?
Oh God, no. That'd be
imagine the abuse.
Yeah, you always get every once in a while you get the story of somebody that, you know, has the last name living in, you know, Connecticut somewhere. Some old man, Joe Hitler. Yeah, it's kind of white. The name is really not good.
I believe we did an episode of my other show, The Creep Off, one time where we talked about a couple that wanted to name their child Adolf Hitler, whatever, and it turns out that's illegal, and they were like cited for child abuse.
I think I remember. Didn't they get caught making a cake, like ordering the cake for him or something?
Yeah, they got like
so.
child abuse, which I'm fine with. I don't care.
I listen to The Creep Off, Vinny.
Thanks, buddy. I'm glad you're the one. So
I'd love to watch the Creep Off roast video one day.
I actually just quickly on Hitler. I actually saw a news story like a few years ago, where it was some country in sub-Saharan Africa. I can't remember which one. There was a guy who got into some form of political office, and he was called Adolf Hitler. And when he got his position in political office, he had to make a statement saying he has no plans for world domination.
I think it's good that they at least checked.
Yeah, just in case. So OJ, it is alleged that Hitler had a son, Jean-Marie Loret, with a French woman named Charlotte Lobjoy. That'd be interesting if that lineage did. How did we get onto this topic?
I don't know. Good fortune. Vinny's tits.
Hey, Vinny's tits.
$6. Taste like pizza juice.
Thank you, Vinny's tits. Am I saying that correctly?
I think you got that one right.
Okay, good.
Now, let's get back to the topic at hand. Cardiff, why don't we dive into this Reddit page and let's see the kind of things that people are posting, shall we?
Sure. There's a lot of memes. It's a lot of memes.
Yeah, there's a lot of memes.
I think that's how a lot of people are taking on this topic. So I don't think we will have population crisis with 330 million people living in America anytime soon. A vasectomy revolution threatens to plunge America into population crisis. So I guess that's a new story again. It's just a lot of dumb memes on here. I don't know why I pulled that one out. Here's a great one. Here's a great reason to have kids. Have children just to flex on the gays.
They really don't care.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay. So
this one is fucked. Okay. Psychopathic breeder. So I guess in the anti-natalism community, someone who has children is considered a breeder. Is that
it's sort of like a somewhat derogatory term. Like I don't like using it. In fact, I don't know if I've ever used it publicly. I may have at certain points, but Yeah,
Like
I
people
don't
with
like.
kids
I
are
don't
talking in the movies.
Sorry, say that again.
Like when people with kids are talking in the movies.
Yeah,
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 those
exactly.
breeders
Yeah, and
over
then
there.
I throw a condom at the back of their head.
Bunch of breeders.
So psychopathic breeder made his wife get postpartum depression. He wants to call CPS on his wife. He coerced into having a child. So this is a letter to Ask Aubrey. So like a Dear Abby kind of Twitter.
Yeah.
Wife had our son 3 months ago. Now she is begging me to get him out of the house. Hi, all. Throwaway because my wife and I see each other's stuff on Reddit. So my wife 31M. so my 31M wife 28F, and I met when she was 22. We hit it off, and were married within a year. She was always child free. I mean, you're in your 20s, hopefully, and told me that from the start. I figured she was just young and free, and eventually she would settle down like every other woman out there. Okay, so this guy started with a woman who said she didn't want to have kids, and I guess he thought she'll change, right? She'll come around.
He wanted them, but he just kind of was like, yeah, we'll change her later.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she checked off every box except the kid one, which I think would be a pretty major box. But anyway, speaking of box, well, eventually it started looking like she was actually serious, and she wanted to get her tubes removed. This really bothered me, and I told her I think I'd be upset if she did it. Eventually, I managed to get her to agree to have one kid, so we started trying right away. She still wanted her tubes removed immediately after. My advice request comes into play here. My wife has not been the same since he was born, so I guess their kid. She cries more than he does, doesn't seem to want to hold him, and refuses to let him nurse from her. He is on formula we can barely afford. Even this guy's making some great life decisions. We can barely afford, even though she has the ability to nurse him. She used to be fun, bubbly, joking. Now she's a completely different person.
Well, yesterday, this is very clearly postpartum depression, right?
Yeah. Oh, well, postpartum depression, yes, and also, again, taking it from the angle that she didn't want to have a kid. Like her entire life, she didn't want to have a kid.
Decision.
So I think when you compound those two things, it's pretty shitty. Yesterday I came home from work to both of them crying and screaming, and my wife said, "Get him out of the house," referring to our son. I didn't know what to do, so I took him to my parents' house and came back home. So he won't even take care of the kid. He's just like dropping him off at the parents. Why did he want this kid so badly? Came back home. My wife was still in the same spot, crying, telling me her life is ruined and that she had thoughts of running away. I have no idea what to do here. I feel my wife has a duty to our son to nurse and love him, yet she is trying to abandon him. Should I call CPS to talk to her about what she's doing? A hospital for her. What can I do about this? Is splitting up and me taking our son the best route? How else do I go get him out of the house?
Seems like it. It seems like it.
Signed Steven Crowder.
Oh no. Oh, no. Hillary, are you committed to this child, Hillary? Okay. Hold on a second. It seems to be that postpartum depression is something that is generally treatable. Yeah.
I believe so, but again, you got to kind of see the signs, I guess,
and want to have treatment for it.
Yes.
So it seems to me, dude, that, and I can't say for sure because I'm not in this relationship, but it seems like you twisted her arm, you fucking asshole, and now you have a kid that she didn't want, and she is naturally freaking the fuck out.
Yeah, like I said, it's compound. The postpartum depression is compounded by the fact that she didn't want this kid in the first place.
Well, I don't know why this is necessarily an anti-natalism as opposed to it just being like a cautionary tale, but no one should be forcing a child on anyone. I get pissed off when someone forces a child on me in a restaurant.
How many people force children on you?
You ever go into a restaurant and just people
have Santa Claus?
Have their kids there, and I'm not allowed to swear now.
Can my son sit on your lap?
And just drop the C word as loud as I want to while I eat. Like, I just get so annoyed with the fact that there are children out there that are just not wanted, and that's a real problem.
Yes. Yeah, no, that's a ugh.
And if anything comes out of anti-natalism is that, you know, kids that aren't wanted aren't born and they never existed, and so it's never a problem. You know, that's a positive, I would say.
Here's one that I guess fuels the anti-natalism sentiment. Oldest living person says life is a punishment and that she hasn't had a single happy day in 128 years.
Jesus.
120 years of misery.
Yeah, she really got the short end of the straw. Fucking hell.
Yeah, it's a miserable life that just won't end.
Yeah. And soon
That's not
enough,
good.
some sort of life extension technology will come around. She'll have another fucking 100 years.
And you know, that's where science is going, right? That's where we're pushing medical science, is to extend life.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
good.
We might hit a barrier. And then another interesting thing is like for like with life extension stuff, like for me, like, and it may sound counterintuitive to people, but like I don't think antinatalism is necessarily against that. Like once someone's alive, it's up to them. Like the ball is in their court. They can make their own decisions. If they want to extend their life and they want to, like it's up to them. Have at it, Hoss. But it's just about starting new life is the issue. But once the life is here, then if they want to extend it, that's up to them.
Okay, fair enough. But we put a lot of resources into extending life, and maybe you're right. It is addicting. I feel like you were correct there.
Yeah.
What is
Well,
this supposed to be?
Well, Vinny, let me ask you: if you could live forever, would you live forever?
Yeah.
Who, me?
I'll ask you too, Lawrence. Would you?
No, not forever. I'd maybe extend my life a bit, but no, not forever, because you know everyone you know would die,
And that in itself is a gift. That in itself is the best reason to say, let's ride this thing. Let's ride this thing till the wheels fall off, baby.
So Vinny, you asked. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm immortal. Let's do it.
Yes. So how can some people not want these? So someone made a post about cute babies.
Well, because you're gonna have to wash those blankets every half hour.
Well, Bear and Gina,
you're never gonna be able to watch what you want to watch on television.
Bear and Gina replied, because I don't see a cute plaything when I see a baby. I see a huge responsibility, a responsibility big enough that it will consume years of my life. It's not a puppy or a kitten that can survive in the house on its own. You literally need to be present with the baby all the time. Every action is going to factor into growing and shaping the destiny of that baby. The world is going to shit because we all have issues which can be traced back to our parents. Being a parent is the most important job on the planet, so stop giving birth to babies because they are cute. You are ruining the baby and the world we live in.
Huh.
Oh.
All right, Baron Jenna. I like it. She's not wrong.
No, he.
Like it.
She has a
Okay.
mustache.
Okay.
I don't know.
That doesn't mean anything. It's 2023. Now, Cardiff,
Yes.
do you ever think about this for your kids? Like the way the world looked when you first had them as opposed to the way the world looks now?
No, yeah, but I don't see it. I never get the doom and gloom, right? Like I don't see, like what I've asked myself, I go, would I trade places with my kids? Right? Would I want to be in this generation or the next generation or whatever it is? And most of the time it's like, yeah, I think I would.
Really? Would you want to grow up in the age of social media? I think they're fucked.
I think it would be I think it would be hard. Like I definitely look at how I grew up without it. And, you know, I'm sure I would have been canceled many, many times by now, or possibly in prison with some of the stupid shit I did. And I would have filmed every second of it. But I think growing up in it, you'd adjust, but I think it would be I don't know. I don't see any generation worse than the one before or better than the one before. Just it's different, and I think everyone's experience can be unique, and you find your way, right? Like I think with my kids, I've had the conversations with Mrs. Cardiff. Oh, how are they gonna figure this out, or how are they gonna do this on their own for the first time? I'm like, well, we figured it out. They'll figure. Everyone figures it out. There's always a way. But I don't think like I said, I don't see the doom and gloom. The world's ending. I think the world's always ending. It's always, we're always on the brink of something. But fuck it, let's go for a ride.
Kevin Halbert says Cardiff with a great positive outlook. Yeah,
Hey.
Cardiff, you are a sunny side up kind of guy.
I am. I was gonna, like I said, right off the top of the show, Lawrence said 1 out of 3 people with cancer. I'm like, well, hey, 2 out of 3. I like those odds.
Ain't bad. Sorry.
Well, Cardiff, you're the third person.
Yes, I am. No, actually, I've already had cancer. Thank you for making fun of it.
Can potatoes get cancer?
Ha ha! You had cancer. That's terrible. What are we doing on this channel?
It's not a joke. It's for real.
So you're a cancer survivor?
Yes, I am.
What kind?
Thyroid.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay, that's a serious one.
No. Generally, no. I think that's one of the. I think the doctor said to me,
Hey, stupid, take the compliment. Say yes, I'm a hero.
Yes, I'm a hero. No, I think my doctor said to me, "There's no good cancers, but if you had to pick one, this is one of the ones you pick."
Okay.
Gun to your head, pick a cancer. That's one of the better ones. So it sucked. It was shitty, but I'm okay.
Now, what is
now that
this
I brought the
next
show to a screeching halt?
Orson Henry at Real Orson says, "Dear parents, your baby is not going to change the world. He'll be born into a low-income household, educated by a failing system, injected with consumerist values from birth, forced to work a hateful job just to stay alive, pressured into reproducing. Hashtag anti-natalism."
Mm.
All points I can't argue.
They are points.
Do you ever think I survived cancer and now I'm a potato surfing subreddit?
All the if I told you how often I think how I got, and this is nothing. What you're seeing right now, Lawrence, is just a tip of the Cardiff Electric iceberg.
Lawrence, when I tell you this is the most normal thing he does, I'm not kidding.
I'm a psychopath, and some of the stupid things I've done, I've had the conversation. Listen, when I'm sitting to a Mexican masked wrestler with a puppet on his hand, and we're having like a deep conversation after we've just done a show, watching like 5 idiots yelling at each other, I do wonder what some of my life choices. But
I think the real question is, what do his kids think? Is really what I'm more interested in.
Yes, only one is aware.
Oh God.
This is embarrassing. Yes.
I mean, I don't know where I end up standing on this page, Cardiff. I feel like there's not a lot to explore on it. There's a lot of people trying to make the same point.
But I'd say so. And again, I can't get upset about this subreddit at all, because it's not like there isn't a militaristic outlook, like where we have to stop it's not like they're a terrorist group saying we're going to stop everybody from, we're going to
they're not Cobra.
Yes, they're not sterilizing the world like with the conch trails or whatever they used to talk about coming out of the planes. Like, we're not sterilizing people. It's just we feel this would be better. That's our opinion. But like I said, I didn't see any like even Lawrence said, not really a lot of outreach at all in any of this. This is just kind of a personal decision for a lot of these people. So good on you, I guess. That's the way you feel. Good for you. But yeah, don't put it on me. And I won't.
All right.
Yeah, like I said, like I'm not really on Reddit that much. I occasionally go onto it, so I don't actually know what the Reddit is mostly like. But if it's anything like the Facebook groups, it's mostly people posting memes And there's people use it as a space to vent as well about like a shit situation that they've been in, and the sort of anger that comes from that because they were forced into the situation where they had to go through that rather than them putting themselves in that situation, if you get what I mean.
Certainly.
Like I think one other quick thing, which I think is important, and often it's a point that I don't think the average person necessarily connects with, but anti-natalists, it's very obvious to them, is the point of parental responsibility. Like the way anti-natalists see it, like the bad things that happen to a child, ultimately the parent is significantly responsible for all of them. So for example, if you create someone, you know, even if it's not consciously in the forefront of your mind, you know there's a risk of them getting cancer as a child. Just as one thing. Obviously, there's many bad things that can happen to someone, but cancer as a child, just one thing. If your child does then get cancer, that is 100% on you. That is you took the risk on behalf of someone else. And if the risk it plays out badly for that person, then that's on you. And I think a lot of people don't necessarily get that.
Well, I don't think a lot of people would agree with that either. I mean, a lot of people think that's just, shit that happens. Like we kind of said earlier, where, cancer, everybody's going to die of something. So whether it's cancer or whether it's getting hit by a bus, you can't really, the person is, I get what you're saying, but a lot of people don't really put the cause of someone's death as making the parent personally responsible for it. You know what I mean?
But do you think that's just out of convenience? Because most of the people talking about it are parents themselves, and they don't want to face that. Yeah,
of course I do, but that's, I would think, is probably the prevailing thinking of most people, right?
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's the prevailing thinking. I think it's backwards thinking.
Okay, I get that. I get that. Deepak Feinberg says, please ask Lawrence, how does he blend anti-natalism and declining populations and the impact on British social programs?
And then he also asked if he needs to waive $20 to get it read, and it wouldn't hurt, but we're reading it anyway.
Yeah, so I'm guessing he means like if there's a declining population, there's less taxpayers, and so if
the giant pyramid scheme of British social programs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think it's a valid it's a valid point. Like, if you're gonna have less people born, there are gonna be less taxpayers. But I would just say that's an us problem. Like, why should we be creating people to offload our issues onto them? Like, it seems a pretty messed up way to look at it. Like, I'm going to have a kid so that I can churn out another taxpayer so that they can pay for my eventual retirement. Like, no, like, your retirement is your own
plan.
problem.
Pretty sweet plan, though, right?
Well, it was the old, farmers always had a whole bunch of kids because they needed people to work on the farm, right?
Yeah, they needed slave labor, yeah.
Pretty neat plan.
Or kids that'll eventually inherit the farm, but tomato, potato, potato. We're not here to. We're here to make friends, Lawrence.
So
yeah.
Lawrence, if you had to, I guess, give a closing thought on anti-natalism, is there anything that we missed tonight in discussing the ins and outs?
What's your elevator pitch? How do you convert our audience today?
Well, I'm under no illusion that I'm going to be like massively converting people. I think often with antinatalism, it's one of those things where when you hear about it, you're either sympathetic or not. And then the more you discuss it, the more sympathetic you'll become, or you'll get pushed the other way. I think people generally tend to have an intuition, and then the more they hear about it, the further down their intuition they get pushed. But the thing that I would just leave people on is, like, if none of the things I've said already really resonate with you, the thing that I would just get people to do is just ask themselves a serious question of like, why are they creating someone, and is it a good reason that they've got in their head? And I think the vast majority of reasons that people create someone is to satisfy their own desire. It's a purely selfish thing. It's just it's not because they think they're doing a good thing. It's not a form of altruism. They just want to have a kid. Basically, they have an itch and they want to scratch it. And I don't think that is a good reason to create someone and impose the risk of cancer, dementia, brain damage, all of these things on someone, trauma, etc., etc. Like I don't think you being able to scratch your itch and fulfill your own desire is a good reason to put that on someone else.
And let's not forget, you could also just be sending out a malignant asshole into society.
Yeah, exactly. And also weighing all of that up with the fact that you could adopt someone as well. If you want to scratch your itch, you can adopt someone, and you're doing a very good thing by doing that. You know, you're helping someone out who's in a bad situation at the moment, rather than just needlessly pumping out another person who doesn't need to be here, never wanted to be here, and you're signing them up for death while you do it.
All right. Well, folks, you can find Lawrence Anton's YouTube channel. There's a link in the description of this episode. Check it out. Subscribe if you're interested. And Lawrence, you've been a great guest. I really appreciate you taking the time. I know it's the middle of the night over there. I'll let you get back to bed. But truly, thank you for coming on Subreddit Surfing. I really appreciate your insight on this topic.
Yeah, thank you, Lawrence.
Yeah, no, thank you. And it's been really nice talking to you guys. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if the actual subreddit served you well in picking it, but I'm glad that we had this conversation, and now I can tick off my bucket list that I've had a conversation with a vegetable.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
And none of this would have been possible without childbirth.
That's right.
Exactly. So
Think
at least
about
one
it.
good thing has come from it.
Yes. There you
All
go. All right. Thank you, Lawrence.
All right. Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Peace.
Bye.
All right, Cardiff, what have we done tonight?
Well, we've learned that our audience is going to have many children and name them all Lawrence.
Excellent.
That's number one. I think that was interesting. Again, I never really. That's kind of the whole point of this show. It's opening the door on a group that we never would have opened the door on.
Yeah,
getting a peek
like
inside.
the Mormons or the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah,
but here we are opening the door wide open.
Ooh, Jehovah's Witnesses.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us for another edition of Subreddit Surfing.
Yes,
aloha to all of our big kahunas. Thank you, all of you, for your support. And we are going to be back next Wednesday with a brand new subreddit. I'll pick it next time so it's not boring. Yes. We'll see you then, everybody. Anything left to say, Cardiff?
Surfs up, big kahunas.